Please rise. Brian, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mary, roll call.
Steve Gidry,
Here.
Gavin Collins,
Here.
Roland Giron,
Here.
Pitch Down,
Here.
Brett DeRoche,
Here.
Scott Terrio,
Here.
Brian Martz,
Here.
Benjamin Rome,
Here.
Monty Vegas. Absent. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, you've been presented the minutes of last month's meeting. Looking for a motion to approve. Moved by Matt, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, on the President's report, we'll go over stuff in our two-committee, executive committee report and all that later on. But also I'd like to recognize our two Port Commission members back there, Mr. Jack Colley and Mr. Tom Pete. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you guys. Moving on to executive committee. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. President. So I reviewed the minutes from our meeting on July 8th. We discussed multiple topics, but we'll cover all of them in the executive director's report later on in the meeting.
Okay. Audience comments. Anyone here from the audience address the board? Okay. All right, moving on to executive director, Nick.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. First up is acceptance of the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire. This is the annual compliance questionnaire for audit engagements of governments from the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office on our levee district operations. It's a required part of all of our financial audits every year, any audits of state agencies to be completed and adopted by the board before we submit to the auditor. So it's a yes/no checkbox kind of form, making sure that we follow public bid laws, ethics laws and training, budgeting, financial reporting, open meeting laws, asset management, and any other laws that apply to state board or agency like ours. We've drafted the questionnaire, and as usual, we have no issues. So I recommend that the board approve completion of the annual questionnaire for audit engagements of governments from Louisiana Legislative Auditor and authorize the board president, board vice president, and the executive secretary to sign the questionnaire for submittal.
Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer.
Oh, excuse me. Let's revise that to board president, board treasurer, and the executive secretary, which I fulfill that role for you guys.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our director to accept the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire. Moved by Scott, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Next, update on our June meetings in Washington with the Morganza Action Coalition. So on June 10th and 11th, I joined the directors of the Terrebonne Levee District, North Lafourche Levee District, Morganza Action Coalition, and CPRA in Washington for a round of meetings to push for some Morganza funding for upcoming spending bills and to push for the action on our $3 million report that was authorized as part of the 2024 Water Resources Development Act. On the Tuesday, we met with Senator Kennedy's staff, Senate Environment and Public Works staff, House Transportation and Infrastructure staff. We got to meet with Leader Scalise that day, Congresswoman Julia Letlow's staff, Congressman Troy Carter's staff, and Speaker Mike Johnson's staff. That was on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we met with Eddie Belk, who's the Civil Works Director for the Corps of Engineers, Senator Cassidy's staff, and Congressman Clay Higginson's staff. From those meetings, specifically for the Morganza project, we just got word this morning that the full $131.5 million requested by the Terrebonne Levee District, which will likely be for Reach F, which runs along the Home and Navigation Canal from Falcon Canal Road in Dulac down to the Home and Navigation Canal Lock, was included in the House Transportation and Infrastructure language for an upcoming bill. So that was a success story there. They're looking to raise that section of levee over the next couple of years with federal funding. For our system, like I mentioned, the 2024 Water Resource Development Act included a $3 million report to show updated 100-year storm water elevations for our system, what we would need to do to our system to bring it up to those elevations, what that cost would be, and an updated economic study of everything that's inside of our system for a cost-benefit analysis of that updated work. So the New Orleans District expressed capabilities for that project for FY '28, which means that they're saying that they don't have the manpower or the time to work on that until then. I requested while we were up there that this get pushed to either this year or next year. And by the time our third meeting came around in Washington, I was already getting calls and emails from the New Orleans District about that effort, requesting us to submit a letter of intent to partner with them on that project. Now, so that just shows that things were happening and moving in real time while we were up there. But from those conversations with the Corps while we were up there, that brought to light a question that they had not raised before. When this was included in the Water Resource Development Act, it authorized to be appropriated $3 million. That didn't give the appropriation, it just authorized $3 million for the study. When the New Orleans District read that language, they assumed that would be a 50-50 cost share. That was never our understanding, and we brought it up with the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee staff when we were up there, and they committed to looking into that. When we met with Senator Cassidy's staff the next day, brought that up to his staff member, and he wasn't really worried about it. He said if it comes back that it was understood to be 50-50, we can add some clarifying language in an upcoming bill, just kind of slip it in there to say that this should be borne 100% federal. So we're hoping that that can play out that way. We were also able to bump into Mr. Lee Forsgren, who's the acting Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works. They've been trying to get their official nominee in place, but with the one big beautiful bill and everything else happening on the Hill the past couple weeks, they've never gotten around to his hearing and approval. So Mr. Lee Forsgren is the acting Assistant Secretary of the Army. We met with him after a committee hearing that we knew he was in, and so we kind of strategically positioned ourselves to be able to get, a couple minutes of his time between meetings. But he then set up a call with us for the following Wednesday to be able to talk about some of the environmental issues that we've all been facing, whether it's for Morganza or for our permitting issues. So he did give us an indication on that call that the Trump administration would be pushing to fast track environmental reviews under the National Environmental Policy Act. And then just a couple weeks ago, we saw a rollout of that effective July 3rd. I don't know if you guys followed that in the news, but there's been some administrative changes to the limitations on environmental reviews for federal projects. So we're still with the Morganza Action Coalition and our lobbyists in Washington trying to unpack what this will mean in reality for us. And not just the nice buzzwords like fast tracking that everybody likes to throw around, but we have no idea what that's going to actually look like to speed things up. But some of the easier things that we've pointed out are shortened timelines for how long these are going to be allowed to take. These reviews are going to be allowed to take by federal law, and the number of pages that these can be limited to. So just those two things right there, you're limiting how long they can review and how long of a document they can require. So this can affect Morganza's design and permitting for their new levees, but also it'll also affect how long the environmental reviews should be taking for our Section 408 permits to alter the federal project. So all in all, a very positive trip. We're still working through the details like the timeline and the cost share for our report, but I'll report back as those things get fleshed out a little more. So any questions on that? All right, next item is the renewal of the debris contract with Dynamic Group. So Dynamic is our pre-position contractor for disaster debris removal after tropical storms and hurricanes, if needed. Their contract did expire on June 30th, but had an option to renew. So after conferring with legal counsel, we are allowed to backdate that approval. So I'd recommend that the board approve a one-year extension of the contract with Dynamic, retroactive to June 30th, 2025. And to authorize the board president and our executive director to sign those relevant documents.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager to renew all debris contract with Dynamic. Motion by Gavin, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Next up is the an alternative planning demonstration that I've been working through. So whenever we improve or do maintenance work on a section of levee, that bare dirt then needs to be grassed over to hold the whole project together. The longer it takes for us to get vegetative cover in that area, the more vulnerable that section is, because any hard rain, we start seeing little ruts forming, and eventually those can turn into bigger gouges. And so the faster we get grass to take and cover on these levee sections, the better. Historically, all we've done is we have a broadcast spreader on the back of our tractor with a large hopper that we can put a couple sacks of, 50-pound sacks of seed in of Bermuda grass and Bahia grass. In the winter, we switch over to winter rye. Don't really have any issues with that taking quickly. But the Bermuda and the Bahia takes a while for it to germinate and start to cover these areas. And so I've been interested in trying to figure out what's a better, more effective way that we can get grass cover to happen more quickly, to be able to not only get just the grass cover we need, but really to protect the investment that we're making, right? So if we're going to do broadcast spreading of seeds 3 and 4 times because we have to wait a couple weeks, we're talking about a few months at a time that we just have bare dirt that we've spent money on, we've done the work to bring it up to where it needs to be, and it's just sitting there vulnerable in the elements. So I know that hydro seeding is one thing that, like, the Corps of Engineers, when they're going to do a new project, they're going to require that as part of their contract, that the contractor, after they're done with a certain section, has to go and hydro seed, which this is a demonstration of that technology down in Golden Meadow. But we've been looking to see how this might work and what size machine we may be interested in looking into for the levee district. So I had one company come down a couple weeks ago and show us, this is near the D South Crawfish Farm flood wall. We haven't had much success getting grass to grow. It's been very sparse in taking and seeding and germinating. And we've gone over this section 3 times already with our broadcast spreader and have had very little, you can see very little grass growth. So I invited this company to come over. I've got another company coming in 2 weeks to do a similar section. So this is really just to kind of show how well this will work in 1 pass or maybe 2 passes. So this was another area that we moved to behind our office here on section B North that Neil Angeletto will be reporting on the progress of that a little further. You can see the equipment in the background where New Gym Construction is doing some maintenance work here. So we had this company come and do just even 1 batch of their hydro seeding application, and we're following the progress of that to see how it'll work. A local plant nursery, when they saw that we were doing this, offered to come and do a demonstration project of just planting marsh grass, Seashore Pass Palum, right on the side of it. I said, let's see, just come right on the side and we'll be able to compare apples to apples over time, how quickly it covers and what the cost difference would be. And then the next company that's going to bring their hydro seeder machine is going to come right on the side of that project. So we'll have 3 different sections all in a row where we'll be able to see how these machines and these applications work. So it looks very promising. The cost of the materials themselves, I was never expecting it to really be cheaper. I was expecting just to be a quicker way that we can protect the work that we do. And in that the cost would kind of be a wash anyway, that we wouldn't have to come back and do any kind of repairs later. So I'll update you guys as we get more photos and videos over the coming months. I would imagine this would be something that probably through the end of the year we'll be monitoring, and then be able to maybe make a decision sometime next year on if we want to make some kind of big change.
Any germination came up since for this guy right here?
I wasn't able to go and see it this morning just because we had another project that we're working with a contractor on the lot, but as of last week, we weren't able to see any kind of germination yet, and that was a week and a half maybe, but I would expect.
And the other guy, he's just manually planting?
He's planting actual plugs, and so that grass where he's planting will be able to take, but then it'll be, well, how long does it take for that to then spread and cover that whole area?
Is he does machine or it's manually?
Manually planting.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
And that's what I would have,
Without the manpower for
for
that.
us to be able to do that in-house, that's not really a practical thing.
Right.
If it would be that we'd contract with him and he would provide the labor and it would be cheaper than this, then
Yeah, then
we'll see, but we'll be able to compare all that as this progresses. So I just thought you guys might be interested in seeing the progress of that and what it looked like in reality. So. And this is the next morning, actually. So you see when it's immediately sprayed, it has that bright green color. And I think most of us have probably seen this, along highway work and everything as you travel around. But then the next day, it's already dried. And I mean, the lighter area here, let me actually point it out on the TV instead of just my screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about. This lighter area here you can see is the area that had the hydro seeding application. So we're going to continue to monitor that and show you all the updates. Any other questions on that? All right, next is just wanted to inform y'all on myself, Dwayne Bourgeois with North Bush Levee District, Angela Hidalgo with Terrebonne Levee District. We're on a rotation of doing HTV's Going Public segments. So my time's coming up this month again. So I'll be filming that on July 22nd at HTV. Typically, it's available later that evening on social media, and then the next day or two, it gets set into their regular rotation. So, but we typically share that on our Facebook page from HTV's page, so be on the lookout for that. Then on July 25th, it's already been 3 years. That flew by for sure that we've had Colonel Cullen Jones as a district commander of the New Orleans district. So he's being reassigned to a position at the Pentagon. And so we don't really have a whole lot of details of what he's actually going to be doing, but it's not going to be at all related to civil work. So it's a completely different Army assignment altogether. But Colonel Jones was a fantastic asset to have here. He was incredibly knowledgeable about all of our projects. I was always impressed with how much he was able to just kind of spout out facts and figures and dates and names off the top of his head with no notes. But we were able to meet with his incoming replacement last week, the executive directors of the levee districts of the ports. Chet was there. With Colonel Scotty Otan, originally from Houma. He didn't graduate around here. His dad worked in the oil field in the 80s. He was laid off, and so they moved to Bayou La Battery, Alabama, and so he finished out high school there. But all his family is still here. He assured us, look, I never go back home. I never consider going back home as Bayou La Battery. It's always coming down to visit family in Houma. And so he understands our issues here. He still has a lot of family in the area, South Lafourche as well. So he didn't seem scared and overwhelmed, so that was a good sign. But I'll be attending the change of command ceremony on July 25th and starting that relationship there. So look forward to working with Colonel Otan coming up. And then the last bit is the meeting date for September. Speaking with President Guidry, we're going to need a change just because of some other scheduling conflicts. So we're going to move that meeting for September up to September 2nd at 3 p.m. So that's the day after Labor Day. But other than that will complete my report. I'll take any questions, but other than that.
Any questions for Nick? All right, moving on, engineering report, anyone from CPRA here?
I'm here.
Okay.
Not specifically for the board, but a quick announcement. We have our new executive director of CPRA, the governor, appointed. You may or may not know, our previous director, Levee, was tagged to head up the Department of Transportation and Development. So he's gone, and Michael Hare has been appointed. It was his first day today. I actually met him this morning. So I'm sure you'll be, if you don't already know him, I know you'll be meeting him soon today. So,
Yeah, hopefully Wednesday, the next, he's getting kind of thrown to the lines right away with the CPRA board meeting on Wednesday, so.
that's right. He said he's just gonna sit back and watch it.
Yeah.
Same thing he did when he should this morning. But so anyway, just that.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Problem.
Anyone from the Corps? Okay, project engineer, Picciolo Associates. Dan, you give it?
Our first project is the LaRose ARC. The plans and specifications are 95% complete. All permitting is complete. We're now working on the hydraulic modeling of the area for submittal to FEMA. And we are preparing the final plans and specifications for issuance to go out for bid and preparing the final right-of-way plans. Any questions? On E-North, construction site specialties is the contract that a notice to proceed was issued on June 19th, 2023. So they've been working for about 2 years now. They're continuing to haul on site as weather permits. Hadn't been that productive lately, but if y'all recall, a couple months ago, we had some meetings with them. Their productivity has increased. They're hauling about 1,000 yards a day, so they're making decent progress. They have about 108 days left, working days left. And they have about 100,000 yards to haul, so we're looking at finishing right on time, hopefully.
So they're keeping about 10 trucks a day?
About 10 trucks,
Getting
10
back
to
up.
13. Some days they have a little more, some days they have a little less. Right now they're hauling to the northernmost part of the job. When they haul to the northernmost part, they usually have like 13 or 14 trucks. Okay. When they have a little shorter haul, they'll have 10. And trucks break down, so some days they have less. Some days people don't show up. But then also, Campo and Sons is placing the material in the levee section as well. Right now, we have just about all the dirt that's on the ground is in place in the levee section. There's very little dirt left. If you recall, months ago we had a massive amount of stockpile material that Campo and Sons was placing in the levee. Well, he's caught all that up. He's basically spreading the dirt as they're dumping. And what else could I mention? The lowest part of the levee now was the northern part. When we first started the project, it was about a plus 9.5. We got it up to a plus 12. So that last 800 feet is at a plus 12. Everything else is at a 14.5. So the crown is getting close to being finished to grade. We have two things for you to approve today. Construction Site Specialties has a pay app number 16 in the amount of $104,557.38. And Campo and Sons LLC has a submitted pay app number 9 in the amount of $72,195. We recommend that you pay both of those invoices.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to pay application number 9 in the amount of $72,195 to Campo and Sons. Moved by Scott, second by Mitch. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And our next pay application number 16 in the amount of $104,557.38 to Construction Site Specialties. Moved by Brian, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, Section A East levee improvements. The plans and specifications are complete. They've been submitted to CPRA and the Corps of Engineers for approval. Eustace Engineering performed some additional geotechnical analysis, and we've submitted that to CPRA and the Corps of Engineers. And of course, the Corps of Engineers is still reviewing for the 408 permit. We were scheduled to have a meeting at the beginning of July with the Corps of Engineers. They were supposed to follow up with the plan review, but they hadn't gotten back to us. So hopefully they'll call us or we'll schedule something soon.
We should have it for this coming Monday, actually.
Okay, so hopefully that'll happen. And then also on this project, we have for you to approve a geotechnical proposal from Stratum Engineering. They're going to take some soil borings on the ConocoPhillips property as a proposed borrow source. So before we agree to terms with ConocoPhillips, we want to sample the soil, see if it's suitable material to put into the levee. So we want to test that material first. So I need y'all approval of that geotechnical engineering proposal from Stratum Engineering. Any questions on that?
So where Ben's talking about, so this is the project here, this blue line that we're going to be lifting the levee.
Yeah.
ConocoPhillips owns property around here that we're looking to get material from to do the levee work. So we need to get the strata to go do the geotech to make sure that the material would actually be suitable for us to use.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation, ladies and gentlemen, that we accept the geotechnical, moved by Max, second by Gavin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, on the emergency gate closure at the LaRose floodgate, TLP Construction Company is the contractor. We gave them a conditional notice to proceed on January 6th of this year. They ordered the equipment. We have an expected delivery date of August 26th. They should receive the winches. It shouldn't take but a couple weeks after they receive the winches just to go anchor them down and do the electrical connections. So hopefully this project will get started at the end of August or into September and be finished shortly thereafter. And our final project is our engineering contract for engineering design and permitting for D North levee improvements. We need y'all to approve that contract and we can begin work immediately.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation, engineer to approve the contract with Pissy Open Associates for the North Levee improvement. Moved by Mitch, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. We're good.
That's it. Any questions?
Question for Ben?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ben. GIS, John?
Hi, John Plaisance with GIS Engineering. First project is the East retention. That is in discussions with y'all. That's not changed a whole bunch. We have been able to meet with the property owner once or twice to try to move the path forward a little bit, but it's still going to be a while before we're ready to do anything right there. The D North ramp lift project is progressing pretty well. They have put in the bulk of the ramp. They put in a bypass road on top of the ramp. They're taking out the rest of the old bypass road now and will fill in that area and then finish the top of the ramp, and then they'll be ready to pave. Kind of expect that overall to be like 6 weeks out, but we think we'll be finished in about 6 weeks. We have change order number 2 to add 4 contract days. Loop asked them to stay off the project for 4 days while they were doing some work, so they did. So that is what we would like to give them back. And then pay application number 2 in the amount of $176,693.15.
And who's that pay application to?
That's a good question.
Onshore. So we need to approve the change order.
The change order and the pay app, yes.
All right, you've heard the recommendation, engineer, for change order number 2 to add 4 additional contract days for onshore. Moved by Gavin, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Next, we have pay application number 2 in the amount of $176,693.15 to onshore. Moved by Brian, second by Brett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And like I said, everything's going on pretty well on that project. The D-South floodwall at Crawfish Farms Phase 3. If my math is right, the 45-day lien period expires today, so we'll be getting a clear lien certificate in the next couple of weeks from the contractor, and it'll be on y'all agenda next month for paying the retainage. The Raphael Project Road Bridge replacement on the way to pump station number 4. We have finished the topographic surveys in the field for that project. We're gathering that information, putting it together, and we'll be able to run a couple of scenarios to show to y'all and the adjacent property owners to make sure everything fits right. If I remember right, going up that picture is the Raphael Project Road. The stone road going off to the right is the road to pump station number 4. And we have 2 new contracts for y'all for engineering work. One is E-North, the northwest corner to the northeast corner, and the Cloverleaf pump station protection. And then for A-West from the Cali pump station to Apache Road.
All right, we've heard the recommendation, engineer, to accept the contract for the northeast corner Cloverleaf pump station. Moved by Mac, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. The next contract we need approved is for the engineering design permitting of A-West on a Cali pump station. Moved by Brett, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Cool.
Any questions for John?
Thank you.
John? Engineering design, Neil?
Right, on the Sea-South flood-side repairs and levee maintenance project, that contractor is Compo and Sons. They're continuing work on the berm, side slopes, and crowns of that levee section. Today, we're recommending approval of their application for payment number 1412 in the amount of $3,895.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Compo and Sons, invoice 1412, amount of $3,895. Moved by Max, second by Mitch. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, next levee section, just south of there, the B North and B South levee maintenance. We've got 2 contractors working on different efforts on that project. The first one is New Gym Construction, working on the protected side berm. We're recommending approval of their invoice number 1052 in the amount of $56,722.50.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay New Gym Construction $56,722.50. Moved by Brad, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, also on that levee section, we have Compo and Sons Construction working on the flood side maintenance work and the protected side berm. We're recommending approval of his invoice number 1411 in the amount of $220,432.50.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Compo and Sons invoice 1411, the amount of $220,432.50. Moved by Mitch, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, next project I have to report on is at the La Rose floodgate. This is repairs to the mooring piles on the north side of the floodgate, on the outside of the floodgate. There was some damage to one of them. There's another one that had some damage also that we're going to work on while we're out there. We've got Tidewater Dock submitted a quote. We took 3 quotes on June 24th. Tidewater was the low quote at $29,922. And I think that's already been awarded to Tidewater. They should be receiving piles in the next couple of days on this project. from there, they expect the work to last a couple of weeks. So I don't think there's going to be any interference with the work that Pissio and Associates has going on with that emergency closure, but we'll be coordinating with them if we see anything. I think Tidewater will be well out of there within a couple of weeks. So we also have some repairs on that in that price on the fendering system on the west side, on the east side, inside the floodgate. There's some damage to the timber fenders, and while Tidewater's out there, they're also going to do that, included in that price. Last item I have is the engineering contract for B North levee improvements.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineer to accept the contract award for B North levee improvements. Moved by Max, second by Gavin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, that's all I have.
Any questions for Neil? Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Delta Coast.
Good afternoon, everyone. Corbin Neighbor with Delta Coast Consultants. Here to just give a little update on the water monitoring station project, and we have 2 requests for advertisements. To give a little context, a couple of months ago, we had approved an agreement between South Lafourche and the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District, such that y'all could piggyback off of their equipment supplier contract. And we submitted all of that to FP&C for capital outlay approval. But ultimately, they came back and said, if y'all want to get capital outlay funding, you guys have to do your own competitive bidding process. So we took that scope and we split it into 2 separate proposal packets. The first one is the instrumentation and monitoring system, which will be the actual water monitoring equipment and the data transmission system, and a second proposal packet for the remote monitoring camera system. So for this first one, we are requesting approval to advertise the instrumentation and monitoring system request for proposals. And for the second one, we are requesting approval to get quotes on the remote monitoring camera system.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to approve for advertisement of the remote monitoring camera system and the monitoring system. Moved by Max, second by Mitch. All in favor?
We need to do 2
We gotta do
separate.
the other. Opposed? Okay, motion passed. And the second one is the remote monitoring camera system. Moved by Scott, second by Gavin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All solid.
Good afternoon, Jay DePlano, South Consulting Engineers. So Reach K report. You have some questions have been answered about the reimbursement request, and I'm not sure, Mr. Mathern, that you know a little bit. Talking with Stevie. Stevie normally is out here for this. He's out of the country, having trouble getting back in. I don't know why. I can't answer for that.
It's cheaper to keep him.
So I'm not extremely well versed on that reimbursement from
This
both
is
sides of FEMA.
a short part of our conversation I had today with FEMA that we should be having more answers on by the end of the week. But Reach K terracing was, a project in Lafourche, but part of Terrebonne Levee District, so we kind of act like a flow through for that. So, but our funding is not at risk of this, but it's still in the process.
And can I ask, so on the agenda, RFP for pre-position posters, that's part of that?
This is separate, so like we had earlier today, a pre-position contract extension for Dynamic for debris removal. One thing that we discussed with our Emergency Preparedness Committee was having pre-positioned equipment and labor contracts for any repairs, any, if we need emergency pumps anywhere, so any emergency generators anywhere, that we would have pre-positioned contractors ahead of time. It's not a necessity to have it ahead of time. We can call whoever we need, but for FEMA accounting, you have a way easier time if you show that you had a competitive procurement process ahead of time to pre-position people that you were able to vet them in advance of a storm, and you can show all that paperwork to FEMA, the approval process goes a lot quicker. So this would be a request to advertise for interested parties who would want to have a contract with us in place to provide that emergency equipment and labor if needed.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you've heard the recommendation of our engineer and our general manager for pre-position contract for post-disaster equipment. Moved by Mac, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And I certainly appreciate that, Mr.
Sure.
On that. Now I can tell you a little bit about the Reach K levee. So if you recall, in late November, December, the contractor completed the southern section, which is from the south water control structure down to Pontiac access gate. That was completed to 11 foot. Funding ran out and it's been dormant till now. And late June, I think the 20th, Onshore Materials, the contractor who has Campo and Sons doing work on that portion, mobilized on, again, June 20th. They began, the first Process was to, on the southern section, the first 2,200 feet or so, the access was on the flood side of that levee. We've moved that to the protected side, so the whole system now has an access haul road on the protected side of the levee. They've completed that, did some work on the haul road on that southern section, and now have moved into the center section, which is between the two water control structures. That portion right there, our survey team has found some areas that were pretty low, 6 foot range, I think about 4,000 feet or so. And so what they're doing, and I think I sent a little illustration in there of the areas that what they're going to do is work north, adding material to get that up to a minimum 9 foot. It's not going to be your full profile, but they're going to get all the way to the north water control structure. And then start working back towards the south with a full profile 11-foot levee. That's the design, elevation at this point. So obviously, as stated earlier, with the weather situation, not a lot of material to be in place right now, but hopefully they've got some momentum. They've got a haul road established, and once the weather relieves itself, we've got the material, we've got the contractors, we've got the trucks in place, ready to make a levee out there. So hopefully we'll have some more news on that one next month. Any questions?
All right,
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, legal permits and right-of-way, Mitch.
All right, we got 3 permits in July. The Town of Golden Meadow, Shell Pipeline Company LP, and Cinco Labs PPC. After reviewing these 3, looking the board to approve these permits.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of all our permits, Chairman, to approve the permits presented to us. Moved by Brian, second by Brett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Anything else? Okay. Our board attorney is not here today. Our finance committee, Monty's not here. Mac will,
Yes, I make a motion to approve the invoices as presented.
okay, we heard the recommendation of our finance committee member. Second by Gavin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Insurance committee, correct?
Insurance committee met last week and reviewed all policies and updates and accepted them as they were presented.
That's it. Yeah, you guys approved the insurance committee's ability to review the final policies and approve them at the last
So we
board.
don't have to approve it. No.
Okay, thank you, Brett. All right, any old business? Any old business? Any new business? Any new business? Executive session?
So we do have an executive session item that was recommended by our attorney. So item 2 under the board attorney's update, LA Contracting Enterprise LLC versus SLLD. It was recommended that we meet in executive session to discuss the upcoming arbitration meetings that are set for 2 weeks from now.
Okay, so I need a motion that we go into executive. Moved by Max, second by Mitch. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll move into executive session and we're done.
Everybody else can go home.
You go home. Go home.
I lived in Brazil for a while. It's like, yeah. And I'll tell you, they don't get it over there. You know, they have an impression of the United States. They think of like LA, New York, Chicago. They don't really think. When I started telling them, it's like, listen, I'll be honest with you right now. It's real. You know, so I was like, I know it's humid here. And I said, I'll be honest with you. Like, yeah, where I come from, it's more humid than here. They're like, what? They're like, they don't believe me. And they're like, they're telling me stuff like, oh, and here, you know, I lived there for 3 years. They're like, when I first got there, tell me about the area. It's just like, which I already knew all this, but they're like, yeah, over here we put sugar out. Y'all do beets. We have something we call sugar cane. I'm like, yeah, I said, I grew up in a sugar cane field. I said, I still do. All right. Yeah, definitely. And I was like, and they're like, oh, and the other thing is, here our staple food is beans and rice. I'm like, really? You know, I was like, we all have some. We have some. Like, yeah, sometimes we get to put some meat in it for this. Yeah, like that's the same thing. But I was trying to show them. I said, look, go way down here and see a little bit. Look way down like the toe. That's where I know. They're like, what's down there? It's like it's different world.
Beans and rice.
Yeah.
Sugar cane.
And very humid.
Humid weather. Yes.
It's so tropical here. I was out west for vacation. Trees in Arizona, New Mexico, all the way it's like 0% humidity. And it's 110 degrees. I'm like, I love it. So I'm outside, like I could run all that, walk, I could work all that. And they're like, you're crazy. Because the evaporation works out here. Like when you walk in a little breeze flower, you making your own breeze walk. They say it feels cool. I said, what is that? It's like, I was like, because here, it starts sweating, it never evaporates. It never cool. It just stays on you, right? And I'm like, that's crazy. And I love it. I was like, give me the 110 degree dry heat all day. Instead of 90 degrees, 100% humidity. I was like, it's like living in an aquarium.
That's only halfway.
So we're used to anyway, I guess we get out while they're executive sessioning it up.
Right.
Time to go. What's up, man? What's up, Katie? Fellas.
So you got any boss?
Yep, that day, man. It's kind of policy and stuff. He used to work with a lot of mitigation and stuff too, but and restoration. So he's got some experience. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think he's going to be cool. It's always been in New Zealand, but you know, when the government comes to tell you, no, I want you to do this, you kind of like, okay, or you go back to the private sector. You know what I mean?
All he has to do is try to keep up with the board and go.
Yeah, that's pretty tough, actually. That's the problem. It is. I'm telling you. But I think he wanted to, you know, I think the government's been wanting to overhaul the DOD, and that's the plan. So, you know, I'm like over at home, I'm like, yo, just get that New York bridge fixed, man. I'll be like, good job, bro. Because I live right there. I'm like, you know, inconvenient that is now. Because we're going to force through the tunnel of the twin spans, which is one lane. I'm like, fuck. But
You came to the PLC board meeting last.
yeah, see the regulars in town. Is that what somebody? Yeah, he's like, I told him, I said, it's terrible. The New Large Bridge has been open, for a while now. I said, now, if that agency is ever open to marine traffic, I said, they're on an island. I mean, New Large is on an island, right? The Fallow Canal, it's been out. I said, you done. I was like, you guys on a big old long island. And so it's an emergency evacuation route issue, right? And, Parish President, they declared it like that and all, but, as soon as Glenn got on with DOT, right, they were like, somebody was asking, hey, we got 8 bridges out in Terrebonne, right? And he said, of course, listen to it, somebody asked him, is this the worst? Is this, in the state? Oh, yeah, by far. He said, I'm like, in no way I would have thought that, right? Because like all these other parishes, all these
Jessica Domingo was there. So
she said that, yeah, that's right. She said, yes, it was the worst. I said, come on, man. But, look, I called it. She swore, if you remember, she swore, oh, yeah, that bridge, it's going to be fixed Friday. No problem. I'm like, me and David Riggs are like, man, how old are you? I was like, ain't nothing coming when they said that when it comes to do with transportation construction. And guess what? I went back there, big old span, still open. I'm like, look at that, the wings are still there. I still see them riding by. And I'm like, still had to take the tone. And
I dropped my son off at the YMCA this morning, because that's where he goes for summer camp.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you see me over there?
Right.
Nope.
You see those big wings? It's like, lift it high. On the east side, at least I can see them from like Van or whatever. I can see them like, okay. I can see them up in the air.
Yeah.
But on my side, you have to go all the way down to basically Barrow Street just to see it. And I'm like, come on. But now they're saying, it's going to be another week. They had a problem with the electric or whatever. It's like, I told my wife, I said, see, she lied. I told her. I don't care why it happened. You're inaccurate in what you said. You're inaccurate. I was right. She's wrong.
She's an honest politician. Over
She's on swear. I said, is this? I don't care what it is. I was accurate, you were wrong. It's like, you can call this stuff, right? Now it says August. I don't know if you read that. Now I'm looking on the website. Hopefully they're just trying to be, I don't know, the actual DMV website is like tagged for August. I was like, come on, man. Wow, man, ain't gonna make it. You get fired. I thought she was gonna fix things, man. You're out. But nah, we got it. Well, you know what? I drove over the Bird Bridge a few days ago. I'm telling you, man. The Bird Bridge just got reopened. Don't complain. 4.5 years. The same time it took to build the Golden Gate Bridge. Apparently, that's what I was saying. It's true. I was like, that is amazing. But yes, I drove over it, coming back from Grand Isle, and I was like,
like I tell people, when they were building the Golden Gate Bridge, they didn't care if anybody died while they were building it. They didn't care if they dropped all this
Balance that with new technologies, though, and I'll say
They had a calculation back then of how big the job was.
A new ram? Oh my God.
Estimated,
Civil Works?
They estimated that we would have so many deaths.
Loss and
But it was how many millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's almost like the engineering fee, it's like a logarithmic curve, right? The bigger the, that's just like,
This was
1%.
That was yours.
Well, that is true though. The speed of the technology we have now, I'm sorry, it's a wash. It's at least a wash. And there's no way that flat span, that bridge should be taking, Bird over the Cumberland Canal should take the same amount of time for the freaking Golden Gate Bridge. That's one of the, monumental civil engineering efforts. Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
But you see, we should have had this conversation with Dan and Joe and Mark was still here. Because the Galliana Bridge is taking just as long.
Oh, I know. There's more people using the Bird Bridge,
Okay.
But, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I seen on the map, I said, seriously, why does that show me going through Bird? I mean, not Klondike Road. What's going on? They go back. Wait, is it done? I called somebody, I was like, yeah, it just finished. Like, it was yesterday. It was like, I was like, oh, I must be, I go right over, right? I'm looking over it, when I passed over it, I couldn't do anything, but I said, man, I was just like, I just did a laugh, I snorted. I'm like, I'm right over there, like, this freaking flat span. I'm like, oh my God, it couldn't get easier, man.
And how much is
Isn't that from Mary?
She didn't want that one.
Oh.
Okay,
So I'll
so
tell
we're going to do
you
it.
to file this for next one.
Yeah.
See it.
I don't know if I'll stay for them to get out of executive session to see if they got any questions for me on that. But
They will call you again.
yes, true. Right. Right up ahead, I'll follow you out. Goodbye, Mayor.
Bye.
Bye, Mary.
Give me this, I think.
We they're saying, well, you say all this is estimated, so you could be off by, I'm doing, okay, that's ridiculous, which is, and so, but that's the game that all farmers estimates, so we're saying that farmers were off by 100 million, which is absolutely ridiculous. But when we went to the first attempt that did was, Brendan Davis,
Yeah, everybody left. They got tired.
Okay, I'm looking for motion to come out of executive session. Moved by Max, second by Scott, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? And carried. So that's it. I'm looking at a motion to adjourn. Moved by Gavin, second by Mitch, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Wait around, wait, 50 days.